Chicago public school system is made up of a total of 578 schools. Majority of the students are African American. A large portion of these schools are considered to be failing schools. According to Payne, people who are placed in failing situations, like this with CPS, are likely to want to do something to distance themselves from that failure. One way that this has been done is by adopting the turnaround model for schools. In this model, schools who are considered to be failing are stripped away from their administration, teaching staff, and even their janitorial staff, and are restaffed by teachers who have been trained and hired by outside organizations. This raises concerns according to Kevin Kumashiro. He feels that actions such as this blames the teacher for all that is wrong in public school systems, and it praises reformers and unleashes fear, which Kumashiro feels is what drives reform. This alone brings controversy and leads to the many issues and emotions, hence showing why there are so many problems with the turnaround system today. According to Payne, a drastic change such as the turnaround system brings various social barriers, such as a lack of social comfort amongst parents, students, teachers, and administration, the suspicion of outsiders from parents, tension pertaining to race, ethnicity, age, and even other factions. Let me start with this. Parents do not trust the new teaching staff. They feel that many of them are there to simply teach and leave, thus creating the triangle effect. Without any true connections to the parents, the teachers seem to not have any true connection with the students as well. This is a major issue. Many of the teachers who are hired in turnaround schools are typically young white females. According to Kumashiro, white women teachers even today symbolizes the goals of public teaching. Hollywood unfortunately glamorizes in films such as Dangerous Minds and Freedom Writers, where according to Kumashiro, young white women teachers lift up their poor students of color. The metaphor is teachers as saviors. This is a great concern to parents, and it gets in the way of major school improvement because it tends to send off an impression that black teachers are not as competent to teach black students as white teachers are, thus building racial tension between parents and teachers, the community and teachers, and even the student and teachers. Media has turned the lens from focusing on the skills and credentials of the teacher to simply focusing on the color of the teacher's skin. This is not a fair or legitimate reason to build up a wall of distrust, but to many parents and teachers, it is enough. Another thing that Payne points out is a social barrier, is the fact that there are low mutual expectations from parents and students, and there is a generalized belief that the program is a failure. They come with the attitude of I've seen a program such as this come, and I've seen one such as this go. My main concern with this is why. Why is it so that parents, community leaders, and students look at the turnaround system to fail, in most cases before it even starts? My answer to this is simple. According to Sally Hedgehog, if a flea is put in a jar and tightly screwed down, the flea will try to jump as high as it can. But as soon as the flea accepts its limits, they will not jump beyond the point of the lid. Humans work the same way. If they perceive a limit and they are continually slapped down with the efforts of their actions, they will also accept their limits and stop trying. Like the fleas in a jar, it has been understood that many of the members of the community, the parents of the students, and even the students themselves feel as if this issue regarding the school closing is too much for them to change. Many of them probably have protested to keep their previous school and staff intact, yet that attempt failed. Many probably tried to protest against violence in their communities, but that attempt probably failed as well. Many of them probably also tried to do the same thing with poverty, yet that attempt seemed to fail as well. According to Payne, you know as well as I do that the issues here are not academic, and the issues are social, emotional, mental, and even spiritual. So it is that the collective memories tell us about how people understand limits and possibilities of their own environment, and they think they cannot make a difference in them. When this happens, people generalize anger and withdraw as a major coping strategy. I realized that being a teacher in a turnaround school will put me in the end that is not to be trusted and receive pushback from parents. Instead of getting offended by this or counting it as a lost cause, I will do my best to show parents that I am not the enemy, but I truly care about the success of their child as a student. To try to show that I am not trying to come in on a white horse and save their child like media portrays. However, I must focus on lifting the lid of the metaphoric jar that has been placed on them years after years after years. To do this, I will first focus on communication. According to Payne, we should be more interested in the parents becoming a part of the solution. And I truly agree with this. Yes, there are parents who have been beaten down by life and poverty, and it is hard for them to support their child. But there are others who aren't and just need support and to be challenged. I want to be there for my parents just as much as I do for their child. With this, I will do my best to communicate with parents and discuss the positives and negatives of their students academically and both behaviorally. I will also welcome the parents into my classroom and show them that they are needed to make their child's learning a success. I will do this by actually going out and reaching out to the parents and showing them how they can work with their student and providing various ways for them to work with their students at home and even opportunities to work with their students with me if need be. In addition to this, I want to make sure that I am constantly learning as a teacher. According to Kimishiro, high-quality teachers are those who have learned not only the subject matter, but also how to teach the subject matter. This means I have to be open to learn how to work with my co-workers. I need to constantly learn by observing, going to PDs, inside and outside of school, and reading articles on new teaching techniques. This is a must for me in order to not become what I am replacing in turnaround schools that have been considered to be failing. In addition to this, I must build my students to become men and women according to Payne. I will do this by carefully placing my groups of students in my classroom. I will also pay attention to how I build the community and environment in my room to make sure that it is one of respect from both the teacher and the students. According to Payne, research on classroom climate finds that the more harshly the teacher interacts with her class, the more harshly students interact with each other. In hopes to avoid this, I hope to develop an atmosphere in my classroom that shows a no-nonsense nurturer persona. According to Payne, students overwhelmingly showed themselves as hard workers for the teachers who were both more serious about teaching and more quick to answer inappropriate behavior. I was clear that this perspective was quality teachers in combination with demanding behavior that had the most impact on students' behavior. These three pillars are ones that I hope to take with me next year in the first year turnaround and throughout my teaching career. Therefore, with this, I feel that I will not become what I am trying to replace. I may not be able to change everything that affects my students, but I can start by showing them that there is no jar, there is no lid, and there are no limits for them.